Hello, this is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a disc I've been dying to tell you about, and death is the operative term here, as you will see. It's a disc of 3 Max Steiner film scores, which is now on Naxos. It was originally on Marco Polo. And you get The Lost Patrol, Virginia City, and The Beast with 5 fingers. And that's the one we got to really talk about. Let me just tell you a little bit about what this stuff is. You know, Max Steiner was one of the great classic Hollywood film composers. He was, like so many of them, Korngold and Franz Waxman, and, you know, was Viennese or German. He left. He was not Jewish, actually, although most of the others were. And they left during the either Weimar era or slightly thereafter at the accession to power of the Nazi government. And they moved to Hollywood, where they became the film scores. And they all went to work for the studios and created the Hollywood sound. Steiner was best known for 2 films. One was King Kong, which is a classic, and it was also a classic film score because it was one of the first films that had a score that really worked in tandem with the movie. And his other great classic film score was Gone with the Wind, which is one of the epic Hollywood film scores, a truly symphonic creation. Well, these are 5 fingers. It's 3 scores for 3 films that desperately needed music. And one of the things that Hollywood producers very quickly realized was that when the film sucks and the music's terrific, the music can really help to make the film. Now, The Lost Patrol is a military pick about, you know, soldiers suffering, basically. It's all you need to know. It has, you know, bugle calls and military stuff in it, and it's all very well done. Virginia City is a Western, and it has lots of Western tunes. Now, this is not Western music the way Aaron Copland and later Elmer Bernstein and the Magnificent Seven, for example, did. It's much more sort of classic Hollywood with some Western tunes tossed in. For example, here's the main title, which, as you can hear, uses, you know, Dixie somewhere in it, and it's very, very lush and romantic. And that was Steiner's style. However, now we get to the juicy bit. The Beast with 5 Fingers. Now, The Beast with 5 Fingers is a horror movie about a crazy, eccentric pianist who lives in a villa in Italy, and he dies under mysterious circumstances. And he has a housekeeper who has a love interest, and he has a secretary. And the secretary is Peter Lorre, you know, who always did those sort of creepy movies. You know, he stared at the camera with his googly eyes and always looked like he was in the middle of some horror thing. And Peter Lorre believes that the severed left hand of the pianist is out to get him. And the movie is, I mean, it's absurd. And, you know, you see Cousin It, you know, from the end. So this hand goes creeping around all the time, and it plays the piano. But what does it play? It plays the Brahms arrangement of the Bach Chaconne from the D minor partita for solo violin, which is absolutely an inspired choice because, as we all know, Bach is a fabulous horror movie music composer. Remember the Toccata and Fugue in D minor, for example, and like Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that. You know, it's really fascinating that Bach is so appropriate for horror films. I mean, it could have something to do with the fact that so much of the music he actually wrote about, you know, his church cantatas, for example, are concerned almost exclusively with blood, death, suffering, and misery. And so he spent most of his life expressing the emotions of blood, death, suffering, and misery. But it turns out that the D minor chaconne is a fabulous, fabulous piece. So here is the moment when Peter Lorre sees and hears the left hand of the pianist playing the Bach chaconne. Isn't that marvelous? Doesn't it sound like a horror movie? Isn't it just perfect? And of course, Max Steiner was not content just to let the Brahms piano version for piano left hand sort of sit by itself. He wove the theme into the film score generally, and here is the end credit. You gotta love it, right? I mean, you really have to love it. So this is the disc, and it's still around. It's the Moscow Symphony under William Stromberg. You know, they reconstructed these scores with John Morgan, and this is a whole wonderful series that Naxos / Marco Polo did. It's The Lost Patrol, Virginia City, and The Beast with 5 Fingers. I knew all I had to do was play a little sample and you'd be hooked. And you are, right? So keep on listening, folks, for more fabulous film music. Take care.